Okay, so it is, I believe, September 15th, 7:05 p.m. I am waiting at Pho Metro, which is a spot in Scarborough. If you've never had pho before, that's a Vietnamese soup. Very good for hangovers, when you're sick, kind of thing. But I just wanted something fresh, so I decided to stop here. I'm waiting for my food, basically. They said it'll take about 15-20 minutes, so I thought, how about I record some and just talk. Just talk about things. I'm thinking a lot about perception and just how sorry. I just kind of want to close my sunroof. Okay, so removing myself from a lot of the people who I had considered as my friends for the past, I guess, decade or longer, because I have my high school friends as well that I still keep up with. Or not even high school, like some of them are elementary school friends. But I realized that distancing myself from them gave me the space to really test out and refine who I wanted to be next. And I think I'm talking about this because I was watching a video by Vin Jiang, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He is a communication expert. I've been following him on YouTube for the past week or so, just because the next thing that I want to evolve for myself is communication. Because, yeah, I think once I am able to communicate effectively and clearly, I will be able to get wherever I want to go. So yeah, I was watching a video by him, and he was talking about, he was basically talking about practicing some of these skills, or he had some exercises that he was putting out, and he was putting out the example of, or he was saying the reason why a lot of people fail when they're trying to improve their communication skills specifically, by the means of how he was telling his student, or he's educating his students, is when he tells people to be more animated and to play around with their voice, and then those people go home to their partners and they start doing it kind of without the context of, I learned this from this course, I'm gonna start doing this now. The response, or the automatic response from the people in their life, is typically one of what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? It's so weird. Comes across as judgment, but it's really just like them being unfamiliar with what's going on. And I think how that applies in my life is that, yeah, I've wanted to improve aspects of myself for a very long time, and not even just that, even in some of my interests, which typically dwell in the realms of psychology, philosophy, and I don't know how to explain, I know there must be a term for it, but the spiritual stuff. So theories about the world, and there being stuff beyond this world, all the woo-woo shit, basically. And I started to shut myself off in certain groups because there were certain people who didn't want to hear or just didn't connect with the stuff I was saying, and like stuff about anything that had to do with self-work, soul work, the reflective work that I've been doing. I was finding that it wasn't being received very well with the friends that I already had. And I'm realizing now that a big reason for that is, yes, one, unfamiliarity, but also because I was surrounding myself with people who didn't want to change themselves. And I've been really understanding this feeling that I feel like a lot of famous people go through this, but of when things are going well for you, and they either want to minimize it or dismiss it or not even acknowledge it. And yeah, that's something that I really had to work through, and removing myself from everybody so I could make these changes really, really helped, because when I was in new environments and I have nobody to rely on, I can be whoever I want. I can present myself however I want. Even in certain situations where maybe I do have one friend with me or something like that, it's just easier to reinvent yourself in a new place. Because people, when you want to change yourself from a situation, or like when you want to change yourself and the people around you have a specific perception of who they think you are or who you've been in the past, just naturally they will try to keep you in that box. And this isn't to say that it's always with ill intent. It usually isn't. It usually is a subconscious thing of they see that you're working towards a change, and inherently it makes them think about, or it triggers something where they're like, something comparative where, they're all of a sudden comparing themselves, and because they aren't in a place where they want to be or working towards it, and maybe they're comfortable with how things are, they react in a way that comes off very negative or unsupportive, if you will. I feel like the point isn't really finished. But I don't actually know what to say next. But yeah, putting myself in different environments has been very helpful, very healing. I don't know if so far I haven't really made any lasting friends. I've made a lot of acquaintances. I've met a lot of people in the past couple months. A lot of people that I feel I'm close enough to hit up and hang out with. Or hang out within the scene that I might have met them in. But I think I've been a little closed off in my energy. I was thinking specifically with the club, because I'm well acquainted now with a handful of DJs, and I see them, but I feel like I have a hard time starting a conversation. It's almost, I chalk it up to to being overstimulated in the club just because there's so many people and the music's so loud. Sometimes it's just really hard to think, and I'm not really trying. And I think it's also part of my hurdle has also been I've never really been good at small talk. I've always been more of the person that yearns for deep conversations. And sometimes I don't know how to get to that point, especially with new people. I don't know how to start off in a way that's light enough that we can transition to that. And it's something that I'm working on. But yeah, I think the perception of me, like, I think a lot of people like to watch me be me. Specifically in the club, just because I feel like I have an energy that's so... I'm just genuinely so happy, and I'm by myself, so I just think I'm just an anomaly already. So I think people see that, and wow. Okay, so I have now just learned that when I have an alarm, it will cut off the recording. That's annoying. I mean, I'm approaching the 15-minute mark already, so I probably will go in soon, but yeah, I guess the message in this video is don't be afraid to take yourself into new environments. Don't be afraid to do things by yourself. I think that's one quality about myself that is very admirable. Is that the admirable? I don't know what the word is. But that is one quality that I feel that I have, that I feel more people should have. The ability to feel comfortable by yourself and then being out in other environments by yourself. I've thrusted myself into many different environments by myself just because there were things I wanted to experience, and the friends that I had throughout my elementary and high school friends, they just don't have the same interests as me, and I would have been denying myself something that aligned with the person that I felt I was innately, or something I wanted to explore for myself, just because they didn't want to go with me to a hip-hop dance class. You know what I mean? It's like I think about everything like that. It's just like, if there's something I want to experience and I feel like I don't know anybody who wants to enjoy that with me, I've just always been like, all right, I guess I'll just go and then see what happens. And I think especially as we get older, it gets hard. I feel like we find it much harder to want to meet new people. Because, yeah, definitely in my 20s and when I had my wedding a few years ago, I was definitely like, yeah, these are my people forever, and that's that. I don't need to, if I meet new people, cool, but I don't need to go out of my way to make new friends. And, separation happened and all this self stuff happened, and yeah, now I am finding myself again alone in a bunch of environments where I get to just enjoy the experience and meet people. And I just have to be patient that if I keep putting myself in these spaces, I'm going to keep seeing the same people, and eventually I'll be able to develop a relationship with them if I so choose to do so. But yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go out and experience things by yourself. Nobody gives a shit about what you're doing. Decide to let that pass. Yeah, nobody gives no one gives as much of a shit about what you are doing as you do. So if that energy, if you have that energy, it's coming from within. Or if you do have people in your external orbit that are bothered by you going out alone or judging or whatever, that's more of a reflection on them, because that means that they're unfamiliar with doing that, so they're judging it because they don't know what it's like. That's cool. Or that's a cool way to frame it, because I guess that's how it is for everything. It's just people judge things they don't understand. So you really shouldn't care for that judgment, because either you make them understand, or if they are not trying to understand, fucking leave it alone, man. Who cares? Yeah, it's more of a reflection of... their judgment is a reflection of themselves, not of you. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna stop here. Thank you.